Hi, everybody. So, by very popular demand, I am bringing back the Once Upon a Point series. Truth be told, I haven't done one in a while because I couldn't think of anything else to tell you about. In my mind, I've told you all the big stuff. So, if there's something you want to hear about or hear the story about, let me know in the comments because that's why I haven't done it in a while because I've been struggling. But today I wanted to kind of just tell you about every time I got thrown on to a performance. I've told you all in the past that being valuable is really important and you got to be a quick study and you got to be the one to step up and do it. So I'm going to rack my brain and tell you about all the times I got thrown on at the last minute to a show because it's kind of funny. So anyway, pour your cup of tea, coffee, whatever your drink of choice is, and let's go. So, getting thrown on, for those of you that are not a dancer, is terrifying. It's basically like you've never done this part before, you have so many hours, learn it, do it, or so and so's out tonight, you're on, do it. It can be really terrifying to not have the ballet in your body, to not know the steps, to only have been doing it in the back. You might have never actually rehearsed it before. It's really scary, but life happens. It's live theater. Emergencies happen. So the very first one I remember, if we go back to the how I was cast as Juliet when I was 17, the first time, I was in Saratoga on the tour every year. City Ballet, I think they still do, goes to Saratoga, New York for 3 weeks. And I was there to dance Juliet because one of the principals got injured. I was also doing the core of Swan Lake. And at the time, I was there. I was the apprentice that was going to be there for the whole 3 weeks and just stick around. So they were like, what else can we put her in? So I remember like the day of or the day before getting thrown into, as we say, I got thrown on to the fourth movement core of Symphony in C. And if you've ever seen that ballet, the fourth movement's like starts, it's like da, 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 and then it just goes and it goes into the finale and there's like all this stuff and you're just like, I feel like fourth movement is the one that all the young apprentices do. It's like the first movement you'll ever do because it's the shortest and it just is like crazy. So Rosemary Dunleavy, the ballet mistress, comes to me and she's like, okay, you're here, so and so's out, I'm going to put you on for fourth movement, we're going to have one rehearsal to teach you, you'll be fine. And meanwhile, I had not been an established company member at this point. I was like still newbie. It was like I had only had my apprenticeship for a few weeks. If you remember back to that Juliet video, I had a really bad like Swan Lake rehearsal. Like I was still like trying to figure life out. So I was like, okay, thank you, Tyler Peck. She was still in the corps at the time. She was next to me in the line. So we had our rehearsal, and I'm one of those people that I get it quickly, but then I can also forget it quickly until I do it again, and then I've got it. So like it felt like every step I learned went in one ear and out the other because I was so nervous. So we get to the show, and it's like, what's the first step? I don't know. So I run on, da, 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 and God bless Tyler Peck. She's like, okay, Tondu to the right. Okay, now you're going to run and stand behind so-and-so. Okay, good. Now, Sujanu to the right. Like, she talked me through the whole fourth movement. Thank you, Tyler Peck. I don't know if I've ever truly thanked you for that. But I managed to get through it somehow. I have no memory of how well it went. I think fine. I don't know, because they kept using me for stuff. But it was probably the most terrifying one because it was the first time. Thank God it wasn't a principal role. But I think in fourth movement, there's only 8 girls. 2 couples, 1 main couple, 2 couples, 8 girls, I think. So, and you're in white tutus. So there's not a lot to hide behind. But yeah, she talked me through that happens all the time. You guys, dancers will talk to each other on stage. Okay, sorry, okay, go over here. Like we talk to each other on stage. Like you have to. So that was the first one, for sure. Then it was sort of like, oh, she proved herself. Let's see what else we can use her in. So I remember a really funny one was Jules. I didn't end up getting thrown on, but I think I've told you all this before. But because I had been the one that was reliable, there was a show where I had learned the core of diamonds, but I was too short, so I was not cast. I only ever did the core of emeralds. I didn't do rubies because rubies usually was by themselves. You didn't do one or the other. Very rarely, unless there was a problem, did you do more than one. It's how big City Ballet is. But I was in the Corps of Emeralds, and somebody got hurt during, I can't remember what happened, but the ballet masters are running around the theater trying to find me. Didn't occur to them I was on stage to throw me on for diamonds. I didn't know, they had to rehearse somebody else and they went on, or I left, or I can't remember. But that was pretty funny that they like looked everywhere but on stage to find me. The one I always got thrown on for and switched around for was Serenade. I never had my own spot in Serenade. I feel like I was, on Broadway they have what they call swings, where swings learn everybody's part and just get plugged in when needed. I feel like I was the Serenade swing. Oh, so and so's out tonight, do their spot. So and so's out tonight, do their spot. So it was sort of just like, all right, which way do I go? Which girl am I behind? And with Serenade, everybody's in a bun, everybody's in the same costume. You're just sort of like, I don't know. So there was one show where the final movement, not all the women are in the final movement. And I had never done it. I don't think I even learned the final movement. Maybe I had. But somebody got hurt in the middle of the third movement during the waltz. And I don't even know, third or whatever, it's the waltz section. I can't even remember who it was. And she wasn't going to be able to finish. So they were like, Katie, do the last movement for her. I never done it. I never learned it. I think I had seen it. I was just like, okay. So there I am. It's not very much. It's a little pas de deux section. And again, it was sort of like, which leg am I on? And when you're on stage and you get thrown on for things, you're like peripherally looking at people like, am I doing this right? I don't know. So it's when you get thrown on to shows, it's all about just being reliable. It's not ever a show that, oh, I so enjoyed that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, please don't let me die. Like, it's just, let me get in the right place. Don't let me run into anyone. Let me remember the step and just be the plug-in. So there's not a hole, like 8 girls on one side, 7 on the other. You got to like plug in the spot. So I managed to do it. And it was just sort of like, okay, again, out there, like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. But I remember doing the last movement in Serenade and I never done it. Not a big deal. Then, if Sean and I talked about this in a vlog, there was Waltz of the Hours in Coppelia. Waltz of the Hours in Balanchine's version is one soloist with 24 children. 24 little girls. Maybe 8, 9, 10, around there, 11, maybe 11 at the oldest. They're little. They always know what they're doing. They're always amazing. But I was a friend in Coppelia. That was my actual part. And in Balanchine's Coppelia, the friends are in all 3 acts. So you sit on the stage and watch the last act. So you can't really be a divertissement in the 3rd act because you need all 8 friends sitting there. But somebody was taken out of waltz. It was not going well. So they pulled me aside and they were like, okay, you're going to replace her as the waltz girl. We'll figure it out. There'll just be 7 friends in the finale, or we'll put somebody else on for act 3. We'll figure it out. Here's the tape. So I go and I learn the tape. And I had one rehearsal with no children. And it was one of those things of, this was the one that I was like, I have no idea. So I remember that show, doing act 1 and 2 of Friends, already thinking about act 3. Just like, okay, so I don't even remember. I was just like, okay, I'm a friend, and what is that step? And I don't know. So it was really a situation of just let me get through it. Just let me get through it. So I go out there for the Waltz of the Hours, remember the first couple of steps, and for the last 3/8, completely blanked. Just gone. Thank God it was a solo, because I just started saute, and I don't know, I made it up. I just was like, I don't know, tombe pas de arabesque, da 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 da. If it had been a core spot, it would have been bad. But it was a soloist spot. So I literally made up the last 3/8. And Rosemary, again, legendary Rosemary Dunleavy, comes back. She's like, nice save. And then she was like, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. I just blanked. She was like, I know, it's fine. Good job. Because you get one day, you get one rehearsal. Here's the tape. I've got friends in my head. We're rehearsing 18 other ballets that go the next week. It's a lot. Then some of the principal roles I got thrown on for were very last minute. There was one situation of getting thrown on for Juliet that I'd already done it, so it wasn't a big deal, but I hadn't done it in maybe a year. at New York City Ballet, Peter Martin's, we had the full length. But then there was Sean Lavery's version of the balcony scene, just the balcony pas de deux. So that was the first one I did. Full length was an entirely separate thing. So this was a repertory night where just Sean Lavery's balcony scene was going. And because we had done the full length over and over and over, Sean Lavery's version kind of got pushed aside, but they decided to bring it back in the rep. Oh, let's just put it on a repertoire piece. We're not doing the full length this season. It'll be nice to change it up. So I hadn't done that version for a year or so. And I was not slated to do it that go around because two other principals were doing it. I was still in the corps. But one went out, and I'll never forget this. I'm up in my dressing room. I think I had some ballet that night. I don't know. The registrar knocks on the door, and he's like, oh, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? Katie, you're on tonight. Figure it out. It's just like, okay. So it was with Tyler Angle. We had one rehearsal on the stage. It was fine. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those things that was fine. But I'll just never forget, like, here we go again. You have one rehearsal. Good luck. Part of the problem at New York City Ballet, not part of the problem, but one of the things about New York City Ballet, my poof is killing me, y'all. One of the things with New York City Ballet is because the rep is so big that towards a certain part of the season, things just get stacked up and there's no time. There's no time to rehearse. And at this point, it was still in the format where we did Nutcracker straight into winter season. There was no break. So you did 6 weeks of Nutcracker straight into an 8-week performance season of rep of like 40-something ballets. It was obscene. And so a lot of people during that winter season would get injured because it was just this long, like 3-month stretch of things every night. And so it was one of those things that, well, there's no time. You'll have one rehearsal or not, figure it out. And you just have to like, all right, I'm on tonight. People are paying to see this. I'm Juliet. Let's do this. So Tyler and I had one rehearsal. It went fine. But even then you're just like, oh my gosh, because this is like a job. It's not just like, oh, it's fine. Have fun. People are paying to see this. It's New York City Ballet. Yeah. Then I think the biggest one for me that I got thrown into was Peter Martin's Stabat Mater. It's a beautiful 45-minute piece with 3 couples. And it's very like Roman dresses and all these like pas de deux and pas de trois, and this girl does a solo and this boy does a solo and then these two girls dance together. But it's 3 couples. So it's a lot of material for 45 minutes. I believe it was Jennifer Ringer. Hurt her foot or something. And I was supposed to do Divertimento number 15, which is a Balanchine piece on the same program. Peter Martins comes to me and he's like, all right, here's the thing. Jenny's out. Your partner will be Tyler Angle. You'll do divert some other point. Don't worry about it. Here's the tape. At this point, I think I'd been to 1 rehearsal because oftentimes with New York City Ballet, it does conflict. So if you're learning a ballet you're never going to do, oftentimes they'll schedule you at another rehearsal at the same time and things take priority. So I had maybe been to 1 or 2 rehearsals. Here's the tape. It was, I believe, Sunday at this point. We had Monday off. The ballet was going Wednesday. Sunday to Wednesday. Here's your tape. You'll have a rehearsal on Tuesday. You'll have, I think we had like the final, oh, that was it. You're going to have your final dress rehearsal on Tuesday. You'll have an hour with Tyler to piece things together. You'll have the dress and then that's it. And I'm on stage with Darcy Kistler, Yvonne Bourret, 2 legendary principals, Benjamin Millepied, who you all know as married to Natalie Portman, and the 2 Angle brothers, Jared and Tyler, and me. And it's like, here's the tape. It's a 45-minute piece. I know you've only been to 2 rehearsals. Your dress rehearsal's on Tuesday. Good luck. Okay. Meanwhile, this was told to me maybe like at a half hour before a Flower Festival show. So I'm told this at like half hour, like right before the show. I have to do Flower Festival in the matinee, Sunday in the matinee. And I'm like, okay, I don't even remember that show at Flower Festival. So I do Flower Festival. I get my little tape. I go home. And I believe my parents were in town at the time because, I was going to do Divert. So it was a big deal, and Flower Festival. So my dad like swung it that he could be in town for both shows. And I was like, all right, I don't care what plans you have this weekend. I've got to stay home and learn this thing. So I did in my living room. And part of the problem with learning a ballet from a screen, as you all know, is it's backwards. So you're like this, going, okay, she arabesques this way, and then you go this, wait, is she going to the right or to the left? Okay, you don't just learn it. It's the mirror image when you're looking at something. So for example, this is my left hand, but to you it looks like you're right. But if I'm going to pique towards my left, where are you going to pique? You're going to pique that way, towards your left. So you have to learn it like this. Do you know what I mean? 45 minutes, it was like 3 pas de deux, 2 group dances, an opening, a finale. Yvonne and I had a duet. Darcy and I had a duet. It was like so much material because 45 minutes is a long time for 6 people. So I was just like, please, dear Lord, let this have sunk in my brain. So we get to Tuesday. Tyler and I have our little like, let's figure it out rehearsal. And he was still kind of talking me through things. Like, okay, same thing as Tyler Peck. Okay, now you go to the right. Okay, now you go to the left. Okay. And I was just like, all right. And our ballet master, Russell Kaiser, was like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Let's go to the dress rehearsal. You'll be fine. So we do the dress rehearsal, amazingly enough. The other problem with this piece is there are like a shawl involved, and props and I have never done well. So there's like this set, there's this shawl thing. You're just like, oh my gosh. So the dress rehearsal was fine. Thank the Lord I had like 4 shows of this. By the 4th show, I was good. But that first show, it was just sort of like, just haul me around the stage, put me where I'm supposed to go. So like everybody was like, all right, Katie, now we go to the right. Okay, now we go to the left. Darcy was talking to me. Tyler was talking to me. Yvonne's like, great job. It's just like, I have no idea what it looked like. By the last show, I got it. But it's one of those ballets with Peter's stuff too. Like, it is not just like, let's promenade around and balance. It's like off balance, this hand, that hand, like not your typical Sleeping Beauty wedding pas de deux, which is up and down and lean and arabesque. Oh no, it's like, it's complicated. So that was my other big one. I loved that ballet though. I will always remember doing that ballet. That was really special. Another one that I have so many stories of this. This is a problem. See, it's a double-edged sword. If you prove early that you're reliable, you're always the go-to person. So you get to dance a lot of things. You get to be on stage a lot, but your job is twice as stressful because you're always the one going, I haven't learned this. Okay. It's sort of like good and bad, but you get to do a lot of stuff and it helps propel your career forward. 2 other core parts I got thrown into. One was Baiser de la Fée, which is the fairy's kiss. And thankfully, it had gone the previous season. Like they had done it in the winter and it was going again in the spring. So it was one of those things of, everybody was the same cast but me. Somebody went out and I had to go into the corps. But it was one of those things of like, all right, we're going to have one rehearsal to piece it together. We just did this in the winter. So we're going to have one rehearsal to piece it together and we're going to have the dress and that's it because we just did this. Except for me. So halfway through the rehearsal, I raised my hand. I'm like, Rosemary, I didn't do this last season, so I'm a little, she's like, yeah, I know, you'll be fine. So it's like another thing of like, which way do I go? What foot am I on? What costume am I in? What ballet is this? What day is this? Are we still here? Like it was a lot. So I did the one and then got thrown on. Same with Ballet Imperial, which we called Piano Concerto number 2. Probably one of the hardest core parts there is. It is death for the core. Like 25 minutes of like by the end. And it was another thing of like, we just did it in the winter. Now we're going to do it in the spring. Let's piece it together. Oh, wait, someone's out. Let's put Katie in. She'll be fine. She'll figure it out. I remember having like maybe 2 rehearsals because it's such an undertaking. Like 2 studio rehearsals, the stage rehearsal, and the show. And it was another one of like, Rosemary really helped me through that one. She was like, all right, stop, Katie, you fine? All right, where are you lost? Okay. It was nice that she was like, all right, everybody stop. Are you okay? Let's go on. But this is the thing, like you get major brownie points for this, you guys. And I can't think of a single soloist and principal there now who didn't have this happen to them. One major one that I will never forget. He is now superstar, Taylor Stanley. He got thrown into, I believe it was Opus Jazz, which is a really good Robbins ballet, but it's complicated. There's a lot of steps. It's in sneakers. It's very like it's not just like stand in B plus and do your thing. And I remember he had just gotten his apprenticeship, maybe, or maybe he had just gotten in the corps. And we were all like, oh, this new kid's going in to Opus Jazz. I wasn't in Opus Jazz, but I was in the ballet after. And everybody, like, I remember Taylor getting thrown on. And we were all just like, who is this kid? Because not only did he do it, he rocked it. He like, Taylor has that like movement quality that nobody else has. And I'll never forget that night going, this kid's going to be something. And now he's a principal. So it's one of those things that if you get the opportunity, if somebody says, oh, so-and-so's out, who knows it? Raise your hand, even if it's scary, even if it's, you're like, nah. If you prove yourself, if you do your job, if you show you're quick, if you are able to be the one that is dependable, you'll get put on to other things. You'll get other opportunities. Like I had already proven myself with so many corps spots, which is why they gave me the Papelia thing, which is why I got Stabat Mater. I was still in the corps when I got Stabat Mater. So it was me and 5 principals, and it's like all these things. Juliet too, the Juliet throw on. I was in the corps. All of these things I was in the corps for because I had proven myself. And I had been the one that just like, yep, even though I don't know it, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go home and spend my day off watching that video, So it's such an important thing. Even if it's scary, even if you're like, what am I doing? Do it. Be the one that's reliable. Be able to reverse it. Another one that just popped into my head. The day I debuted Sugar Plum, I came off from bowing. I might have said that in that video too. And they were like, beautiful debut. We need you for flowers tonight. So-and-so's out. It's your spot, but the other side. So you'll be fine. It's what you know. Just reverse everything. So instead of being on stage right, you're on stage left. And it's all completely the opposite. You'll be fine. Do it tonight. No rehearsal. I had no rehearsal for that one. It was just like, all right, so-and-so, it's your opposite. We don't really want to cut you, so just flip it. And you're just like, okay. All right. So it is so important to be able, to succeed in a company setting, you can't just be a good dancer. You've got to be a good employee and reliable and put her on, see what happens. Put him on, see what happens, and deliver. So start, if you're an understudy in something, start being like, all right, what if I ended up having to do this? Because you never know. Just because you're in the back and you're the understudy does not mean you are not going to get thrown on. Don't get comfy, right? Know it inside and out. If you're bored, learn the other side. Because that happened to me several times with serenade, flowers, all of it, right? Learn the other side. Learn somebody else's spot, because the other thing I've seen is somebody goes out, a dancer goes in, doesn't know it, doesn't do well, and they put somebody else in even though it wasn't that person's spot. So be the employee, be the dancer that knows it, no matter what. Don't take understudying for granted because life happens. Life happens. So let me know what other Once Upon a Points you want to hear. Leave me a comment. If you missed the latest video, the Harry Potter class, it's right there. You can click it to watch. Love you all so very much, and I'll see you next time.